Hello Internet, my name is Fedrit and welcome back to my monthly development update video for the False World. Before we jump into the updates, I've got a few announcements to make. First, Joshmund has started his final year of university, so I've taken some of the tasks back that I've set aside for him so that he can focus on what's more important. Um, Second update, this past weekend I held a playtest. It was fairly successful, not too many bugs. Had some local friends that I know from work, as well as my wife, and some people online that have been following along. The third announcement that I have to make is that in about a week and a half I'll be moving. So between now and when I get settled into the new place, I probably won't get a whole lot of scripting done. But afterwards, I'll be getting a lot done because I won't be working. So that'll be fun. Now, we do have a lot of updates to go over, so let's jump right in. Alright, so I've got my whiteboard in front of me here with the list of things that I've accomplished this past month. And the first thing on the list here is that we've got our nifty little ball here, we move around and we can jump now. And speaking of jumping, so I found the reason why I was getting stuck in these interaction areas, and it had to do with the jumping system. The system checks to see if the character is within a certain distance of a surface where walking and jumping is permitted, and for some reason these interaction areas were causing a conflict. I have found some other issues, but I'll take care of those in a later update. And something, before I go out there though, I'm going to grab a bag. And I think I'll grab these as well, because I will be needing those. And this. Alright, so we can now target trees and players and rocks and things. As more things get implemented, the more things that will be targetable. You do need to target trees before you can harvest. Yes, you can gather resources from trees and from those rocks. Grab all of these and put them in. Stack them up nice like that. And you see when we gather everything from the tree, it disappears. Now if we don't gather everything, like here I'm not going to take anything, we do get this lovely bundle of logs. We don't get anything from, or anything special from these stone piles. I don't have anything, so it's just a plain cube. Nothing exciting. Now I'll show you why I gathered all of these up here. And you see that I have these two buildings already constructed. I decided it would be very useful to have a system in place where buildings could be automatically constructed, because if we go in here, select the house, we do require resources to actually construct buildings now. So you see the house requires 50 stone and 25 wood. The granary, 25 stone and 50 wood. So go ahead and build the house. And if we interact with it, it says this location requires 50 stone and 25. It doesn't have to be any particular type, like you can use the rhyolite that we saw out there, or granite. For wood, you could use the oak or pine. Doesn't matter, just so long as it's the right category. So we'll open up the inventory here, and we'll stick some of these in there. And before I put any stone or that last stack of wood in there, I'm going to do a quick cheat because it would take me a while to gather up all the resources, and I don't want to waste time like that. So I'll just make some administrative edits. So I'm going to increase the stone count to 50. And this other pine up to 20. Make sure that took effect. Yes, awesome. So now let's see, we've got 50 stone and 29 wood in the storage. And I've set it up so that when you have more in the storage than what you need, when you start building, you do still have stuff left over. Looks like things didn't quite add up correctly, so I'll need to take a look into that. But yeah, so resources have a use. All right. Let's see here. Ah, yes. So over here in the corner, we've got start tag, end tag, and reset tag. What does that mean? Well, we can play tag. Whoever starts playing tag is automatically set as it. We did have some fun during the play test. We ran around trying to play tag. There weren't a whole lot of players on, and this is a really big area, so it wasn't that great, but it was still fun. And I've made changes so that when you go to place one of these tiles here, not only do we get this red indicator like before, but when we click, you see we get something in chat there. So the reason that we couldn't place it was because it is either too high off the ground or too low, and there's something in the way. And it does change depending on the conditions. So if we stick it out there, tile is not adjacent to an affiliated location, or it's simply too high or too low. So that's always fun. Let's see here. Right, and when you're gathering the wood or stone, it's been set up so that only one player can gather at a time so that you don't get any double loot or anything like that. And I've also made it so that if you're in this area when somebody starts building something, you do automatically get teleported off to the side here. And I've also made changes to the chat system so that when players connect to the server, they only get the 50 most recent messages, not counting these system messages, because those are only for the local player. Some of the bugs that were found during the playtest is, so if under the right circumstances, if you press the space bar, the chat activates and you float infinitely up until you remove focus away from that. That's something that I'm going to have to look into, but I can't figure out why it does that. Another issue that was found was certain points in the dialogue with the guild manager, this green pillar right here. At certain points, it would break and throw errors. That has been fixed. There were also reports where if you're on a surface like this where you are permitted to walk around and jump, pressing the space bar wouldn't always cause you to jump. Some people had to press the space bar anywhere between 3 to 5 times. Um, I have no idea why it's doing that. I'm just pressing the spacebar once. Sometimes it doesn't take it the first time and I just have to press it a second time. But that's going to be a tough one to track down because it's very hard to reproduce. Another thing that I have discovered is when you're trying to target something, if you have one of these windows or the character window open, you don't always get to target things. And sometimes you have to open them and close them before you can target. I've put out questions to the support forums, but I'm not getting a whole lot of responses back yet, and this is another tough one because I have no idea where in the code it is doing this problem, where this problem is coming from. So that's gonna take some figuring out. And on the note of requiring resources to construct buildings, right now it's accepting the raw resources, but in a future update, probably not this next one, but most definitely by the one after, I will have it so that buildings will require the refined resources. So logs will be turned into wood planks. Those piles of rocks will be turned into stone blocks, and you use those to construct the buildings. And there will be buildings that you can set up to do the refining at. There will be a carpenter's hut or a woodworker's hut, things of that nature. And, oh right, something that I don't have written on the board here is you can also get the information on buildings. So buildings, all buildings except for the houses, will have a recommended number of workers. Right now you're not able to adjust how many workers are assigned to a building, but I do have the system mostly in place. So here we have the granary, we've got one worker, which is the recommended amount, and so it operates at 100% efficiency. When you get the buildings that will gather resources or will process resources, the number of workers will determine how quickly those resources are gathered, or how many of those resources are gathered, or how quickly they get refined. You do get diminishing returns once you reach the recommended number of workers. And it's set up so that each additional worker, so the granary, for example, the recommended number of workers is 1. So if you have 2 workers in there, it'll operate at 150% efficiency. 3 workers, only 175%. And it decreases, so on like that. Not all buildings will have the same number of recommended workers. Larger buildings especially will have much higher recommended number of workers. So that's something to keep in mind. So while each house does provide for workers, in the future you will need a lot more. Additionally, you're going to need to produce food to feed these workers. They will consume a set amount per period of time. But that's all down the road. Just looking over my board here. I was going to include video from the playtest, but as I was reviewing it, I decided that there wasn't enough usable footage. Most of the time with us all being spread around, I was just wandering around the world, chatting in the chat here or with my wife, who I was doing a call with. And a lot of the video of me wandering around in the wild, it was really blurry because I never noticed just how low quality things get when I'm running around out here with all the grass and flowers and such. I have increased the quality settings of the recording, so it should be much better for this video. And all subsequent videos will be at this higher quality, so things will be much better. Looks like that just about does it. So, until next time, be good.